Certainly over the years, a lot of people have asked about being introduced to the Bridle Trail out at Wyco, Wyandotte County Lake, and thought it would be helpful to create a video that walked through it mile by mile. So over a couple weeks, went out and shot some of the sections of the trail and hopefully put it together for this beginner's guide to the winter loop at Wyco. Also, Keith Krieger put together a fantastic map that has key callouts on it, and I'll put a link to that down below. For starters, Wyandotte County Lake Park is located on the northwest side of Kansas City, on the Kansas side of the river. The winter bridle loop starts at Shelter 2 and is traditionally run counterclockwise. So from there, you run across the field and pick up the bridle trail on the other side. You go across the bridge over Marshall Creek, then cross the street and across the field on the south side of the lake. Then cross the road on the other side and follow that road up to the trailhead on the left.
Do you remember your first time running the winter loop out here?
The winter loop. It must have been, well, no, it would have been the 2017 winter cycle, I guess. I did 20 miles.
The very first time I came out here, the buddy who was trying to introduce me to trail running, we couldn't find this trailhead. It's because you got to go pretty far up this road. And really, even still at this point, you can't see it. There, you start to see the...
Especially if there's a screen and not the middle of winters.
It's fairly rocky and technical at first, but there are some sections in the first 2 miles that are really nice and runnable.
Just coming up on a mile, and here's the first real big rock climb. Softball size rocks and bigger.
At a mile point 3, you'll come to your first field, which is Davis Hall off to the left. Just follow the beaten path up and to the right, and you'll see where the bridle trail picks back up. Occasionally you'll see a downed tree on the course, but it won't be there long thanks to the volunteers who help it keep it clean. First 2 miles is also the muddiest section of the trail, so just be prepared in wetter weather to make sure you've got your shoes tied real tight. Also in this section is a delightful little pine section. It looks a little like Colorado. And a creek crossing just before you get to the road.
After the creek crossings, you pop out at the horse trailer parking lot and then begin a nice, slow, gradual, and at times more steep uphill. But to find the trailhead, go past the picnic tables, and then the trailhead's up at the top of the hill here. So you climb up this big hill from the horse trailer parking lot, and then it levels off to some really nice runnable section that leads right to the triangle.
The entrance and the exit to the triangle are very close to each other.
I always thought it was crazy geometry because this thing is not shaped like a triangle at all. No. But I've learned that it's named after the Bermuda Triangle. That once you enter this, you may not come back out.
We always run this hill. Always.
Always. Definitely not a hill we stop and chat and lollygag up. And as a beginner, you should make sure you run this hill too. Holy crikey, we are running this hill.
Oh, we did it.
That's Shelter 11. So you go to the right at the top of the very steep hill, which takes you to fall downhill. What's nice about being up here in the winter is the view is pretty spectacular. You can see the lake and the dam from up here. And Peter likes to fly down fall that hill. at the bottom of Fall Down, you hang left and come up a little ways. Looks like a watershed, and then a trail that goes off to the right, which goes to the bottom of the dam. Well done.
Welcome to the first of many, many hill climbs.
Now during the race, you come across the bottom of the field and then up this steep part here. But for beginners, just come diagonally right up this way. And then as you come up this way, there's this nice little gradual slope. Now when you get to the top of the hill up here, you're like, well, where the heck is the trail? Because it's not obvious. It's like that scene in Ghostbusters. The trail is up.
Right.
Hey, where these stairs go? They go up.
Where do we go?
We go up. So you just hike up this hill. And you'll see, you'll get to a false summit, and then it'll flatten out. And then you'll start going back up again. And after you crest that second time, look for the trail, head off to the right. Entering into Speed Demon Ridge. And a nice view from up here. Another downhill fairly fast. But also a new fork in the path that you'll come to fairly quickly as you get up here. For beginners, stay straight. Here's the fork. That's Los Lobos. Fairly steep trail. And then this is the Bridle Trail up ahead.
Speed Demon Ridge is just a lot of fun, and it's pretty cold during the winter. But you come all the way up from the dam and then go right back down by the railroad tracks. It gets a little muddy down there. And then, of course, you climb right back up again.
This rope pull is worth using the rope for, especially when it's a little muddy. I think this hill is underrated. I think it's one of the biggest beasts on the course.
I used to call it Medusa Hill because it turns your legs to stone.
Bester's Wanderer will take you up to the dog park, so you'll often see hikers out here with dogs. Cross through the field and pick up the Bridle Trail on the other side. From here to Shelter 10, it's pretty runnable. You'll pass two icons. One is the boat parking area, which in the summer is much less filled, but in the winter you can see all the boats. And then the wonderful tunnel of trees. Leaving Shelter 10, you'll cross 93rd Street, head right on West Street and pick up the trail there. Good news is you've just got 2 miles left to go. Once you step down the big round ties, you'll enter the field, which is the turnaround spot for the 5K. Now here come the Three Sisters. These three hills aren't the biggest, but they are the steepest. That first sister starts off steep and keeps going on and on and on until it feels like you've been climbing it for hours.
2 hours later.
And when you reach the top, you can hardly breathe. There's a little footbridge at the beginning of the third sister, so you know it's almost over. One more road crossing, and then you slight little climb, which will take you up to another section that looks like Colorado, and then down the rocky chute to the finish line, or to the parking lot. So that's the brief overview of the bridle trails out at Wyandotte County. And let me know if you've got any questions down below. I'd be happy to answer them. And would love some feedback as to whether this was helpful. Too much information, not enough information. And are there any other trails you'd like to see a beginner's guide to, or maybe even a more advanced guide to? Happy running.
Okay.
Lay down.
You just film this and then run it back in slow or the other opposite direction.